Recording is running. The recording is running. How am I supposed to know that I have the recording running? Because I'm drumming on something with my fins. So, here we have the drum aspirator, namely a chili. Mercury chili. I know there's also the chili edge. And there are other impact shafts. So, you have to figure out for yourselves what year of manufacture and which version it is. I mean, that's pretty noticeable back here. You can see that it looks a bit different. Anyway, just start reading everything out loud again. I've moved the microphone down here now because turning it a bit towards me, the closer it is up here, the more space it takes up and blocks your view. Not for me, but whatever. So, reading out loud. Exactly, I wanted to read something out loud. So, it says Mercury in big letters on one side. On top, it says Mercury Chili. And here there's a mile-long serial number, a diabolo symbol, an F sign, made in Turkey. In Turkey, yeah, it really says Turkey. So it's Turkish. It's probably going to be someone like Hadzan or something. Whoever knows exactly, write it down below so I know too. So, we'll start as always with the shaft. What does the shaft do? Let's take a look. Yeah, so when I file over here, the first thing I see is the notch and the rear sight. That works, so I don't have to go quite so deep. As far as I'm concerned, the cheek piece and the sight could both be a bit higher. But it is what it is. But most of the screws on the scope anyway. Does that make sense? Is the length okay? Let's see. Yeah, for me it could be another centimeter longer, that would be perfect. But you have a screwed on, rubberized butt pad at the back with anti-slip potential. Here we have a straight finish, which means it wouldn't be a problem to add 2 centimeters more material in between with longer screws. You just have to take action yourself. What about the casting grades? Let's take a look. So down here, they have actually been removed. So there was really someone here, but not here. And I don't notice much either. That actually looks pretty good. Even in here, there are also signs of machining. I don't know if the previous owner did something there or if that was already like that from the factory. That's okay. I think this is the first time I've seen signs of machining on a stock, which means someone actually took the effort to do something about it. As I said, I can only speak for this device. Secondhand. I don't know what the previous owner did. 2001. I don't know if there are differences in the various models, production years, or manufacturing processes. Anyway, this thing here has been done properly. Yeah. It's okay. So far. Nothing special. There's a hinted cheek piece on it, with a trigger on both sides. The trigger is installed, the screws are countersunk, so you can't hurt yourself. And now there's, the guard is probably made of plastic, is the trigger blade. Metal now. So I definitely see a casting grade on it. It could of course be metal, then it would be aluminum die cast. It's not a U-profile, it's solid. It could hypothetically also be plastic. I really can't say at the moment, but there are pleasantly clean holes on top. The biggest one back here is just for the stock screw. Then we have another hole here. There's a screw behind the trigger, and there's a screw going across the trigger. I'm going to assume, without having looked closely, that we have a very nicely adjustable trigger here. And that applies to both trigger pull weight and preference or something like that. Let's take a look. I like it. This way. The mechanics are here, I can't shake it, it's well built, but... yeah, come on. Almost nothing. So, I really like that already. Done. Dusted. Let's get to the middle. Yes, we obviously have an automatic safety here. How could it be any different these days? May the gods be punished for that. But then we have an 11mm rail here. And we have a 2-stage adjustable. What I'll call a scope stop. Because there's always this rumor that scopes like to wander due to recoil. I have, but it's never happened to me. Unless I really didn't tighten the screws enough. Just a note, once it's tight, it comes off. But there is one there. And if it's there, that's nice. So we have a stopper here. Then we have a relatively long piston here. I would say that supports it. I've been told, and I've read up on it, that hard recoil impacts, and this thing distributes hard impacts, come from the fact that the spring is the original export spring, but here, the transfer port, the hole through which the air hisses, is simply made smaller. That's actually a very imprecise method, because we're talking about hundredths of a millimeter, whether it's a lot or a little that happens. Yeah, but maybe the legislator demanded that at some point, saying, no, 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 with the spring, it can be changed way too easily. That's actually a very imprecise method because we're talking about hundredths of a millimeter, whether it's a lot or a little, that happens. Yeah, but maybe the legislator demanded that at some point, saying, no, 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 with the spring, it can be changed way too easily. Better make the port a bit smaller. You'd have to drill. One way or another, both are not exactly easy. I wouldn't recommend either because there's a lot more trouble than you can handle. Yes, then we have a barrel. That's a classic knicker. There's not much to expect technically. Up here, it's also a bit egg-shaped. They've saved a bit there again. And then there's a rear sight on it, a micrometer sight, that you can adjust with your thumb, turning it up, down, right, left, with a click. Completely plastic. I mean everything. The rear sight blade, it's all completely plastic. There are glow sticks built in, and I think they actually work quite well. When packing, wrap it well in bubble wrap. The tip of the barrel is wrapped in plastic to protect against rust. The tip of the barrel is nicely wrapped in plastic, probably because it's the cheapest way to mount it, 1 gram, but at the same time, it also protects against rust because that's the part you touch the most and not everyone cleans their gear after using it. And even when you have to hit it, having a wide rim is somehow better. But at the same time, it also protects against rust because that's the part you touch the most and not everyone cleans their gear after using it. And even when you have to hit it, having a wide rim is somehow better. The GR is quite a hefty piece. And even when you have to hit it, having a wide rim is somehow better. The GR is quite a hefty piece. I'm holding the barrel right in front of your nose again. You're just a camera. You're not really here. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing this. You see, for example, also here, the GR isn't square, but rather, it looks like a pearl is sitting on top. So it's a pearl grain. It's a grain tunnel, and it's all made from a single cast. So it's not like there's a metal casing over it or anything. It's all just in plastic mold. And then someone just pushes a little red piece in there. And it is actually basically a pearl grain. I don't like looking from the front. I don't look into any barrels from the front. Yes, that's basically a pearl grain. So a pearl grain usually really has a pearl on top of it. Here it's like a whole sausage. But that's okay. I mean, as long as you hit your target, it doesn't really matter. And especially when you have a scope mounted on it, it doesn't really matter much. Yeah, that's about it. Then I would say, let's move on. The practical test. Data is still coming in. The grip, it's tilted back quite a bit. I mean, I actually prefer it to be steeper, but I don't think the grip itself is fundamentally bad, I have to say. That's fine. It has to fit, as always, for all sizes and for both right and left-handed people. I think it's okay. You can live with it. It's also covered with fish skin. Printed fish skin, so to speak. Okay, so without a light tap on the barrel, you can't get this thing open. But luckily, a light tap is really all it takes, not like with an air rifle. I had to bang on it so much that my hand hurt to get it open, but it was all good. Yes, it's noticeable. And what I see again right now is that the previous owner didn't hold back on the oil. So even after all the test shots, every time I close it, a bit of oil comes out. But I don't want to complain too much about it because I'd rather have too much oil than too little. Oil is good for firearms. So, the cocking process. Yeah, you can tell that the device is practically new. Nothing has happened to it yet. That's why everything is still a bit more difficult. Can I take the shot to uncocking? No, I can't. So I can't relax the weapon without uncocking and shooting. Alright, let's put a lead pellet in there. 2001. Into the particle accelerator. What's interesting is that the pellet drops in from the top and only sits about 0.5 millimeter deep in there. I've also compared it now. No, it's not that the pellets become particularly narrow, but there's just a relatively lot of space here. You just have to be careful, because if you were to close the weapon like this, the pellet would probably fall out when you close it. Whoa, I also need to get a bit of momentum here to close it. 2001. So then aim again past the hole from the side. Cock. Here we have the typical hole stock problem again. If I want to uncock, I have to get out of the stock, get in here, and then back in. It's just a hole stock. Unfortunately, that's how it is. I've kind of moved away from hole stocks, even though I actually like them because of the steep pistol grips, which aren't that steep. I find them a bit annoying now. Trigger, source EOS, almost no take-up at all. Maybe just 1 millimeters at most. Then something starts to move. Yeah, but not for long. So you can tell the trigger is adjustable. I'll mention it again, and someone has already adjusted it a bit. The impact is solid, the radon is also solid. This thing seems to have some fire to it. I'm just going to say that from a distance. But the trigger is clearly adjustable. There's a lot you can do with that. He finds my goodwill. So, as I said, the impact is solid. Some might like that. What do we have here? Now I need to check that they get the right discs from the right grooves. Mercury chili. Yeah. It's okay. It's a recreational rifle. Okay, I just talked about the Umarex petrol. So this is how the Umarex petrol shoots, and this is how the chili shoots. There'll have to be some differences somewhere. Of course, it could be different Diablo pellets. It doesn't fit the rifle. Possible. Is the scope not screwed on tight? Possible. Tatarik in Hand? Possible. But I'd say it's okay for a recreational air rifle. 10 shots, 10 meters, shot from a sitting position with a scope. It's okay. It's not a standout, but I wouldn't say you can't do it. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily take this to a competition shooting range and say, hey, I'm just going to shoot some rings now. That's not enough. On the other hand, there are people at competition shooting ranges with equipment that costs well over $1,000. You can also do it with a used Diana 75 that works too. So, a note. We have a note too. This is a Mercury Chili Edge, that's what it's called. I have it written down here. It just says chili on it. It says Chili Edge on it. That's how I bought it anyway. Used, of course. The new price is around 130 euros. I don't know if it's exactly this variant. As I said, there are different prices, plus or minus a few euros, depending on where you buy it. I got it for 74 Tor. Just over 50 again. That's good. Otherwise I wouldn't buy it either. Not for that price anyway. If you want to have it, it's obviously different. Oh, that's the variant I haven't had yet and I want it right now. And then it costs more. And it also always depends on what time of day it is, whether it's around noon or earlier. In the evenings, there are definitely a lot more people out and about. And it got the approval from the PTB in May 2010. That was about 14 years ago. That means the thing can't be much older than 2010. I don't even think so. The thing looks way too new. Usually the previous owners also write something down. Never shot, just a display case. Actually, it's almost brand new, but here I almost believe it because there's really nothing wrong with it. Is this a scratch here or is it a piece? Here's a tiny little scratch. I don't think you can even see them. They were up there. So, looks like new. Bong. And let's see what's inside. 2001. So let's do a little wow. I always feel like I'm here like with Tom Cruise, he's always waving the air around. So, where was I left off? Mercury, let's take a look. M is in Mercury. Mercury chili. So the number's 20 shots measured. Average 164 miss with 0.52 Gr. Opened a new tin of pellets. That's why they're a bit heavier than usual. The energy that comes out 7.0, 7.0, 7.1, 6.9, 7.3, 6.9, 7.0, 6.9, 7.3, 7.1, 7.0, 6.9, 7.2, 6.8, 717, 6.9, and 7.1, 7.0, 6.9, 7.2, 6.8, 717, 6.9, and so on. So, satisfactory. So, moving on. So, satisfactory. There's a kick in it. I know kick isn't important. What's important is whether there's kick in it. But I know that many of you see it completely differently. It doesn't matter here, as long as it makes a bang. Yes, and they come pleasantly close to the legal limits and it doesn't scatter too much. So a difference of 6.9 to 7.4 or 7.3, that's normal. It's about as normal as this here is. For a recreational air rifle in a price range where it just works. Right trigger weight. That's where it comes into play again. Just without carrying. Oh look, it worked this time without having to hit it. So it's also a matter of personal attitude, especially your physical condition. A lot of oil. Come on, you go in there, just wipe it away. I get greasy fingers on the glove. Like this. And that. And there. You go, good example and all, right? So let's let the power in. Yeah, and it shows in kg and not in lb per square inch or something like that. So, right, let's pull on this a bit. So everything reflects 0 and 24, 0.4, 0.67891 kilograms, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, 1.6, 1.7, 1.8, 1.8, 6171 So just saw that. So with 1.8, I think that's pretty spot on. 1.8 kilos are adjustable trigger. I think that's really okay. Taking this plastic thing off again, you sweat, you really fog up the lens with it. So now I probably have to come up with some kind of conclusion again. How much does this thing cost? 130 euros new. You can buy it. Can't go wrong. So, the adjustable trigger is really great, of course. Whether the stock fits you or not, my gosh, you can easily spend $100 more. And then there's the whole thing in wood, and I don't know what else. It's not like there's a limited selection of air rifles. There are tons of them in all variations. Personally, I prefer wood now. I used to say, yeah, plastic is easy to maintain, but I have to say, when it comes to the feel, wood has something special. I think price-performance ratio is reasonable. The emphasis is really on it doesn't quite reach 7.5 joules, but it's pretty close. And trigger is adjustable. Yeah, the trigger is adjustable. Open sights don't really impress me. But like I said, anyone who wants to shoot accurately has a C license anyway. Well, I've really said everything. I've gone through all the paperwork. We'll check it again later. Did I forget something important again? No, I didn't. Then I have to go back to USAND first, and then I have to, oh poor me, I have to turn off the camera all by myself. And then I really just have to press one button. But somehow I have the feeling that I've forgotten something. But right now I can't figure out what it could be. Thanks for watching. Give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment, and then YouTube will think this is a great channel. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Nope.